Hello, this is Erin Perkins-Curette from www.littlecircles.net, and I'm here with you today to share a new project, a new beginning to a large project, another quilled mosaic. This one is focusing on a tree silhouette. We are continuing off of the skills learned in the first mosaic video series that I offered and shared, the retro flower mosaic series. If you have never quilled a mosaic before, I do suggest you go back and watch that series of videos, as there's a lot of skills and a lot of things we covered in those videos that I won't be going over again in this series. Well, I am putting these videos out. I do have a group of about 200 other quillers who are quilling this project along with me from my website and from my Facebook group, and also a Little Circles Quill-Along group. So we do these projects on a semi-frequent basis. If you would like to join us in this one, if you're currently watching it, or in the next one, go ahead and look for the links below this video, and we'd love to have you join us in the next one. However, if you're watching this in the future, no problem. It's not hard to learn quilling. You can go to our website, www.littlecircles.net, and find all of the basics, as well as here on YouTube. There's quite a few videos. Of course, you can always Google it and that sort of thing as well. And mosaics are a great way to learn quilling because it's so intensive. You're doing the shapes over and over and over again. And this project is really easy, and there's a lot of ways to modify it to make it even easier. So now that I've got that out of the way, I just want to go over the differences between this project and the retro flowers project, and the different things you're going to learn in this one, and how this is a great way to expand your quilling skills. In the last project, we did a 5x7 mosaic. I went step by step through each phase, and it was very regimented. There wasn't, a lot of people did go off in their own creativity, but there wasn't much room for that if you weren't directed to do so. In this series, it's quite different. You're going to be asked to really use a lot of your own creativity, your own artistic intuition. You're really going to stretch to come up with interesting color combinations, to use up your stash. So you're really going to, have to put a little pressure on yourself and really stretch yourself a little bit as an artist. And that's nice. That's how we grow. So I'm really excited to do this project with you all. That being said, I want to show you the basis of this project. I am doing an 11 by 14. The great thing about this project is in the next video, I'm going to show you how to estimate the amount of paper you're going to need for whatever size picture you want to do. So if you do not want to do a larger project like this, like I'm doing, or if you want to do a larger one, that's going to be fine. You can do whatever size you want. If you want to do a circular project or a long, oblong, or rectangular project, you can. All you're going to have to do is do the math to figure out how much paper you actually need. But that's going to be in the next video, so we can really just focus on this first step. So what you're going to want to do is find whatever background you're going to use. I am using an artist panel, which I bought from dickblick.com. You can find these, though, in many arts and crafts stores if you want to use a more standard sized. Or you can cut out your own cardboard. You can also go to the website and find printables to print out either 5x7 or 8x10 backgrounds that are already colored in if you don't want to paint or marker in your own. I have an entire video set aside for the process of both painting your own background or printing off and creating on top of a printed background. You can check out my YouTube channel for those resources if you don't already know how to do that. But I'm going to assume in this part that you've already seen those videos or that you will go check them out, and we're going to move on. So I'm using an 11 by 14. However, like I said, you can do whatever size you want. And on that with pencil, I have just outlined a very basic tree. And you are going to be asked to put whatever kind of tree or tree branches. Mine are more branches than an actual tree, but you can do a tree silhouette if you want. You can do whatever you want. The thought process behind this is that everything that you see that is obviously tree is going to be in one solid-ish color, like a silhouette, and then we're going to fill in the coloring in the empty spaces. The thing to keep in mind while you're drawing out your tree is you want at least a few bigger spaces to add elements of interest. So don't go crazy creating branches. They are the most tedious part of the project, are the branches, so also keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is keep the branches bigger than you would think you'd need to be. The tinier they are, the more they get almost absorbed into the overall project. So if you have really tiny little kind of shoot-offs, you might not even notice them or see them in the finished product. So just keep that in mind while you're drawing it out. If you don't consider yourself an artist or a little afraid to be drawing out this tree, go ahead and Google it. Look under Google Images for tree silhouette, and you will find thousands and thousands of pictures of different tree silhouettes, and use one for inspiration. You're not stealing from the photographer or the image person. You're going to go off and do your own thing. It's just for inspiration to show you how trees kind of move and that sort of thing. Another thing that I like to do is I like to draw a very, very basic with just, you know, a couple of limbs, and then I draw off that. And that's the process I want to show you now, because none of this is going to show once you hit the next step. This is just the outline. So you can see I've drawn like through another tree. You're not going to see that. And then here I'm just going to add an additional branch, just so I can kind of show you how I do my process and how it just doesn't matter. You can just kind of keep adding on. I'm just gonna go like that. Okay, and then you've got an additional tree branch. I'm not sure that I like that too much, so I'm gonna do, maybe something else. Maybe I'll just kind of intertwine this going that way. Get it down. And then another thing to keep in mind is sometimes you don't really like it when it's in the pencil stage, but once it's all black, it's really not that big of a deal either. And I can kind of make this all, you know, look like it flows a little bit more, and you'll, you know, once that's all colored in. So once you have it penciled in, and don't get too crazy if you don't think it looks good. I never think anything I do looks good until it's entirely done, and then I'm like, wow, that came together, that's great. So I never think anything looks good. But after you get it all penciled in, just do it really basic. Be easy on yourself the first time. This isn't the only thing you ever have to quill in your lifetime. You can always do more. So do something that you find interesting. Find a tree that inspires you. Look out your backyard. You can use one in your yard, whatever you want to do. But make it interesting. Leave some spaces, because that's where the magic happens when we get to the actual quilling part. And then once you've done this, you're going to need a permanent marker or paint. You can absolutely paint this if that's what you have. I just hate doing that. So, and I'm impatient and I don't want to wait for it to dry. I waited for the background to dry. That's about as patient as I can be. So I'm using a permanent marker that I got from a craft store, and I'm going to use the blunt end, and all I'm going to do is then just outline everything to the best of my ability, and then just color it in. So I'm going to stop this video and speed it up a little bit and do that entire process, and then I'll check in with you again before the next step. So here we are, all done. I think this process is pretty straightforward. I'm sure you have a pretty good grasp on what you're supposed to do. The only thing I thought of while I was coloring this in that you might be thinking of is a lot of times I notice people take what I say almost too literal, and I just want to encourage you to use your creativity and don't necessarily go with what I say to do. This is a piece where you can really go your own way and try things out, and it's nearly impossible to go wrong. You do not have to color in this tree black. You know, you can do whatever color you want to do, whatever theme you want to have. If you want to do a different kind of tree, go for it. If you want to do a tree with roots or whatever, really, it doesn't matter. The point of this project in particular is to show you how to do a larger scale or an irregular shaped project, and to calculate the correct amount of paper for it, and a creative way to use up some scrap paper that you might not have any other use for, and just to take your skills to yet another level. And that's really what this project is about. So keep that in mind as you're sketching it out. For this picture in particular, I don't plan on doing my tree in black. I might have colored in the branches black because I want the background to be dense, but I'm actually going to be doing it in some varying purples. So don't take it so seriously, and if you do it black and then you want to do something else, that's fine. If you want to color the tree in red and then you end up wanting to do it in black, that's fine too. It really doesn't matter, and you can't make any mistakes, and some of the things that you think are mistakes will be the things you like best about the picture when it's finished. So really just be gracious with yourself, take it easy, and just really enjoy the process of it. So I think this is pretty straightforward. I think you should be ready to get going. So figure out what size you want to do. Draw out a fantastic tree or branches for your project, and then look out for the next video where I'm going to teach you how to make a swatch to estimate how much paper you will need to make your project in whatever size you decide to go with. So thanks for joining me today. Remember, you can find a ton of resources on our website at www.littlecircles.net. I'll share a few links below here on YouTube, and if you need to get in touch with me or ask me a question, I'm not very good about answering questions here on YouTube, so hit me up on Facebook. It's Little Circles Everywhere on Facebook, and I always answer those. So until next time, thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.